Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Streamline Your Business for Growth, Sojourn Scales with Netsuite and Merchant eSolutions. My name is Macy, and I'll be your producer for today's presentation. So just a few housekeeping items before we get started. This webcast is designed to be interactive. The console can be completely customized, and you can resize or move any of the windows that you have open. At the bottom of your console are multiple application widgets you can access, such as Q&A, additional resources, and help. If you have any questions, please submit them by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We will try to answer them during the Q&A session at the end, but we'll follow up with you individually if we don't get to all of them on time. Finally, if you are experiencing technical difficulties, please click on the Help icon that provides solutions to common technical issues. Most of the time, simply refreshing your browser will solve any audio or visual issues you may be having. And now I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Scott Dirksen, Senior Director of Business Development and Suite Cloud Evangelist at Oracle NetSuite. Scott, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Macy, and thank you to our audience. Good day, good evening, depending on where you are. Today you're going to hear a great story. Merchant eSolutions and NetSuite share a customer called Sojourn. And the things that they've done with their business, with both Merchant eSolutions as well as NetSuite playing supporting roles with our technology, is actually quite astonishing. So quickly, in terms of our agenda today, we're going to walk through our speakers. We'll give you a little bit of an overview of the supporting cast, that being NetSuite and Merchant E and our related technologies. We're going to learn about Sojourn and the things that they have done, and they'll speak directly about some of the benefits that they realized working through their implementation and as they continue to scale their business. We're going to talk a little bit about the SuiteSuccess customer implementation methodology for our audience, and then we'll get to the Q&A. So starting on the right, I introduce Walter Garacki. He's the Senior Payments and Billing Analyst from Sojourn. Katie Lenny, who's the Controller at Sojourn, is on the panel today. And Trevor Rubel from Merchant eSolutions, as well as myself. Quickly, a little bit about NetSuite. #1 cloud ERP. So we were the first cloud company, actually, starting back in the late 90s. Today, we have over 7,000 employees. We have around 40,000 organizations and subsidiaries who are using our system and logging in every day. And around the time that we were packaging ourselves to be sold to Oracle, we had about $1 billion revenue run rate. Today, we have offices in 13 countries, and that acquisition was closed at the end of 2016 for $9.3 billion. Now we operate as a global business unit of Oracle. Following the acquisition, we were able to enjoy a speech from Mark Hurd, the CEO at Oracle. The message was consistent to what we see today, which is more, better, and forever. So more product, more investment, better access to Oracle technologies, and living together inside of the product suite and beside the Oracle products on an ongoing basis. So this message has been consistent, and certainly a couple of years in following the acquisition, we're seeing tremendous investments from Oracle, our parent, and we're pouring more resources into our product and doing a lot more in terms of our overall global distribution. And today you'll learn more about how that's working out also for Sojourn. So some of the problems that our customers come to us sort of feeling like they have, in legacy systems and so on, and you'll find some of these themes also in Sojourn's story, is that the data is everywhere, and certain processes in disconnected systems are sitting in silos. They're dealing with multiple user interfaces. There's broken transactions and order flows and several different versions of the truth. And certainly this is common for many, many customers who are, making acquisitions or expanding globally, or some of the things that you might find yourselves dealing with your business today. With Oracle NetSuite, you get a single system that runs all of these areas of your business. So starting with human capital management, your financials and your enterprise resource planning, CRM, e-commerce, professional services, dealing with multi-country tax compliance, subsidiary management, multiple languages and multiple currencies. And you'll hear parts of this story also with Sojourn today. The thing I want to focus on a little bit, in terms of the way the enabling technology works for partners like our partners today, we have the Suite Cloud platform with a single data source. So we have a single version of the truth, and we have the ability to extend to ISV and payment partners who can help us to extend our solution to solve other problems. And also on the wheel is BFN. BFN stands for Built for NetSuite. That is the partner qualification program that Oracle NetSuite has with partners. So you know that as you build your solution that includes Oracle NetSuite and its core solutions, and you need to bring in a partner to be able to help you with things like payments or other specific areas, that you have a quality product that is going through regular testing as we go through our various upgrades, and we all run on the same version on a worldwide basis. All 40,000 customers are running the same version. So no version lock like the past, single data source, bring all of your areas together. So you might ask, how does that platform thing work? Very quickly, our customers and our partners get the benefit of excellence in operations. And we were the first cloud company starting back in the 90s. We started to build this, and we were serving ERP customers. So, mission critical all the way. So we have, elastic capacity and a lot of scalability that is very difficult for customers to achieve on their own. We have all of the security concerns and certifications, SOC and SSAE. We have compliance in terms of payments, so PCI DSS and Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. We have full transparency in our operations, and in fact, our customers enjoy visibility on our operations site. So you can go and check and see what our uptime has been over the last periods, and if there's anything that's going on, we communicate in a common way with all of our customers. We have a service level guarantee. So if we don't meet our service level guarantee, you actually are compensated for that. And we have a pre-production sandbox and this upgrade, patented upgrade process that helps both our customers as well as our partners. We have development and deployment tools, and one of the things that may not be commonly known, actually the most used feature of Oracle NetSuite is the Suite Cloud platform. So customers and partners can use that to create custom records and change workflows, etc. And we have different levels of tools depending on the type of users. So an analyst can actually create a custom workflow and build that into your system, and a developer can manage a complete software development lifecycle and deploy code into subsidiaries, etc. And all of our partners actually create little Suite apps that you can find at suiteapp.com, and those applications are deployed into the customer account, just like what we're going to hear today in terms of Merchant eSolutions and the tools that they've put into the solution. These other capabilities are available, again, also as part of the platform for our customers as well as our application developers. Global language management, multi-browser, multi-device, and even social collaboration tools. So these are the functions of the Suite Cloud platform which really make this interaction between NetSuite and its partners possible. So I'm going to pass along the baton now to Trevor, who can give us a quick introduction to Merchant eSolutions.
Thank you, Scott, and really appreciate the setup there, because the reality is none of what we do really comes to light unless you're integrated into NetSuite. The true advantage that we can offer as a NetSuite partner, and as it says on the presentation, we've been a partner since literally almost the very beginning, right? 14 years of partnership. the true value of that comes to light integrated into the NetSuite ecosystem. I'll talk a little bit about our capabilities within the Merchant eSolutions business, the capabilities that we offer both inside of NetSuite and extending beyond the walls of, say, the finance department of the ERP world. And then we will move to hear Sojern's story, which is probably the most exciting part of this, how they've actually put all this together and made it work for them. We share over 1,300 mutual customers with NetSuite, and we very much are focused on payments within the NetSuite ecosystem, taking advantage of the Suite app environment, including all of the advancements in the NetSuite platform, whether it's back office capabilities for payments, NetSuite in-store, or Suite Commerce online. Merchant eSolutions is a full-service payment processor, and to most people that doesn't mean much until they understand that it really means for you, that's one throat to choke. We handle the transaction from the point of origination, whether that's a terminal sitting on a countertop or a back office application in finance where you're entering transactions, you're doing recurring payments, or your customer is interacting with your business online. We pull that payment in, we settle it, we authorize it, and we are responsible for that all the way to the point where the funds are back in your bank account. So it's one infrastructure handling all of that. We're going to talk about some of the capabilities that enables along the way, but you can imagine, since it is one version of the truth in NetSuite, we are then one version of the truth for those payments moving through the payments ecosystem. We do this through a number of solutions, and it all started 14 years ago with NetSuite, really focused on the back office capabilities and the recurring billing capabilities that are so common in our customer base today. But as NetSuite's expanded, we've also expanded. So now we cover you whether it's an in-person transaction with that terminal or point of sale, whether it's an e-commerce transaction or a mobile transaction, focus on e-commerce, B2B, wherever your customers are and whatever scale those customers are, we've got the integrated solution in the NetSuite ecosystem. That's delivered through a truly robust stack of technology, integrated into NetSuite and extending beyond NetSuite for those customers that are running other channels outside of their NetSuite environment. It scales across the U.S. and worldwide, and we'll talk about that in a couple of slides. But it's also, as NetSuite is, flexible and reliable, secure and scalable as your business continues to scale. And you'll hear about Sojourn's scale in the next couple of slides. Even as your business scales across channels and with growth in volume, we accommodate that in the Merchant eSolutions payments ecosystem. As a technology-forward company, there's sometimes this risk that you lose focus on customer service. And one of the things that we've learned working with NetSuite and with partners like NetSuite and customers like Sojourn over the years is that you know your business incredibly well, and you need a partner that knows payments incredibly well. So our focus in service is not only making sure that the transactions flow seamlessly and that every dollar processed ends up back in your bank account, but also how do you manage payments across the life cycle of your customer? How do you optimize your internal operations to make taking payments more efficient? How do you optimize your interchange to make it more cost effective and create a better customer experience between you as a merchant or retailer and your customer as a small business or as a consumer? So combining not only 24/7 US-based customer support with proactive outreach to our customers to help them find optimizations available to their business, we've been able to build a really tremendous expertise in NetSuite and combine that with our expertise in payments. And many of our customers turn to us for that intersection between NetSuite and the payment systems that they want to facilitate. Our customers run the gamut from retail and e-commerce through wholesale distribution and manufacturing, nonprofit, as well as service-based businesses. And over the years, we've found particular areas that we are the most successful. One of the areas in particular is these service-based businesses, and Sojourn's a great example of that, where they can take advantage of a number of the capabilities that we have, whether you're serving an end customer that's a consumer or an end customer that's another business and need to acquire funds through a number of different channels. I'll let Sojourn talk about a number of these solutions, and then we'll round up at the end with other things that may be more applicable to your business. With that, let me introduce the team from Sojourn and hear probably the most exciting part of this story.
Thank you, Trevor. Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Lenny, the controller at Sojourn, a travel marketing company, and I've been at Sojourn for the last 3.5 years. Our company works across hotel, airline, cruise, transportation, and tourism to deliver digital marketing at scale. We work across the travel spectrum from individual advertiser to best-in-class agencies. Currently, we are 500 employees strong with 13 international locations, 9 subsidiaries, billion to 100 countries, and processing credit cards in 35 currencies. We have been a Deloitte Technology Fast 500 company for the last 5 years. So, with all the growth international expansion we've been experiencing, our accounting operation has become increasingly complex. Our accounting team grew from 2 to 15 people. We experienced 143% year-over-year revenue growth, and we are serving 5,700 customers and have grown from 3 to 9 subsidiaries. We also completed an acquisition last November. So we found ourselves in a situation where QuickBooks was no longer able to handle our business, and we also had our international subsidiaries intact. We were lacking the functionality that we needed. Transaction processing was timing out, reports were crashing, FX accounting was not effectively supported, and there was an inability to process credit cards in an efficient manner. What I had was a frustrated accounting team on my hands, and month-end close continued to be delayed. So we made the decision to implement Netsuite, which took us about 3 months, and we had a go-live date of September 1st, 2016. The result was that our month-end close was 6 days faster. We centralized accounting into one system. We eliminated third-party outsourcer, improved timelines, and reduced our cost of $150,000 plus. We increased our consolidation efficiency. We enabled the team to continue to scale. I had happy accountants on my hands. Our reporting was more robust, and we were able to process a high volume transactions. We had enhanced controls, automation of eliminations, consolidation, FX accounting, intercompany accounting. We implemented multi-book, which meant that we could be compliant in Turkey and Brazil and many other countries. We improved the efficiency of revenue processing, so our ability to deliver invoices more quickly and thereby improve our cash flows was great. We implemented powerful mail merge for invoice delivery and automated our collection notices. And then we used the power of automation of amortizations for prepaids, which made our senior accounts very happy. And then I think one of the things that I love the most about Netsuite is the powerful customization capabilities. If you can dream it, you can probably do it. And then the other thing that I've found to be really great is all the Suite apps that you can plug into NetSuite and really extend the power. And so for us, Merchant eSolution was a great solution for our credit card processing. Now I'll hand it over to Walter.
Hi everyone, my name is Walter and I work in the accounting department at Sojourn. I've been with Sojourn for roughly 3.5 years, and I have seen the credit card process from start to where it is now. Once we migrated onto NetSuite, we needed to solve our credit card payments function, and we chose Merchant eSolutions because it was fully integrated with NetSuite. Previously, when we were using Stripe, we would have to pull reports from multiple systems and merge it together and import it into NetSuite. One of the big things that NetSuite solved for is we created an API between NetSuite and our internally developed customer portal, and this was very important because customer can enter their credit card information in that portal, and they can also see their transaction history. So it's very important that we can process the credit card payments real time. Another important feature of Merchant eSolutions is the reconciliation feature. We have a large number of customers that we process credit card payments for on the 15th of the month, and so we need it's necessary for scale and volume. For example, last month we had 400 to 500 transactions processed on one day, and so what the reconciliation feature does is, rather than going into the make deposit function in NetSuite and manually selecting 400 times, we were able to select our payment processing profile, select the batch number, and it automatically selected the 400 to 500 transactions. So you're taking a process from anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes down to 2 to 3 minutes. That's very important to us. Another feature that is very important is the account updater. The account updater is a function where if a customer has an expired credit card or if they get a new one, then Merchant eSolutions will run on a monthly basis and automatically update those. That not only helps the customer, but it also helps our accounting team. We don't have to send out notifications if their credit card failed, and it's a great customer experience. So in summation, the full control of the credit card payment function is within NetSuite. We can do batch processing. All of our credit card information is stored within NetSuite, and one thing that could not be done with Stripe is the ability for a customer to remove a credit card information, which now they can, and that is best for the customer experience. So I'll turn it back over to Trevor.
Thank you, Walter. Walter explained, and I appreciate that, the automated reconciliation and account updater. May have to pull them onto my sales team at some point. Pretty good stuff. This is all possible because of the Suite Apps infrastructure. So within NetSuite, because we're fully integrated, with a simple download, you can not only pull down the ability to do credit card processing across all of your touch points, but you can also pull down the applications that do the reconciliation, that do the account updating, and even more. So the 101 solutions are the ability to process credit cards. As you get into sort of payments 201, you start to look for international and local currency conversion, FX conversion, and settlement in multiple currencies. And of course, we support that integrated into NetSuite as well. And then into 301, you start to get into areas like level 3 processing, level 2 and level 3 processing. In particular, these are ways to optimize your interchange costs and reduce your overall cost of tender or your costs to take credit cards and debit cards. What level 3 processing is really focused on is reducing those costs specific to corporate cards and purchase cards. So if you're in the B2B space, as Sojourn is, there's a tremendous opportunity to lower overall costs using integrated level 2 and level 3 processing. And Walter also mentioned the tokenization solution, or inadvertently mentioned it with Account Updater. One of the ways that we do that, and I know there always are questions about PCI and about security, our integrated token solution allows customers to have a unified experience across all of the channels with which you interact. So if they come to you perhaps online or through a telephony channel over the phone, and they give you a credit card number, that can be then stored in the integrated system between NetSuite and Merchant eSolutions so that you aren't seeing or managing that credit card number. It's now encrypted, and everything that you as a merchant do is just simply with a token, removing some PCI burdens from you, protecting your customer and your overall organization, but maybe most importantly, allowing your customers to interact with you across multiple channels and have their card and their business, their customer profile stored so that they get that same experience that they get online when they walk into the store or through a kiosk or through a phone system. So the combination of these applications all built into the Suite App infrastructure allow that complete integration between your payments ecosystem and your NetSuite ecosystem. I'll let Walter talk a little bit more about the engagement between Sojourn and Merchant eSolutions, but Suffice to say, it's an easy with Suite app. It's an easy download and easy configuration.
Thanks, Trevor. We worked with Merchant eSolutions a lot when we were integrating our NetSuite and internally developed customer portal. We had to figure out a way how to migrate credit cards over from Stripe to Merchant or Stripe to NetSuite, and suffice it to say, moving it manually would not have been a good customer experience. So we used Merchant eSolutions to migrate roughly 2,500 customers from Stripe to NetSuite. In order to do this, Merchant eSolutions helped us install a tokenization bundle. This also allowed the account updater service for those credit cards. I also wanted to point out that we worked extensively with Trishelle, who's a product supervisor at Merchant eSolutions. She was very responsive, best-in-class customer service and support. Two quick other things I wanted to mention is one thing that I really like about Merchant eSolutions is when there does happen to be a credit card failure, there's a lot more information that they provide than just the reason that it failed. They provide the bank and the phone number for the bank that issued the card. So if you're talking to a customer, you can give them that information. They don't have to pull up their credit card. The other thing is I like that they have a 24/7 support line. We all have long days where we're in meetings, and it's nice that, after a day or I go home, I can get on the phone with them and talk to them and resolve a problem that I wasn't able to during the day. So with that, I will turn it back over to Scott to talk about SuiteSuccess.
So, we've heard actually a number of interesting things today from the team at Sojourn. Katie, that two of her favorite things. One was the flexibility that the Suite Cloud platform allows, or if you can dream it, you can do it. And the second one, is this notion of the Suite app plugins that you get from partners like Merchant eSolutions. I'm going to talk for just a minute about what that has enabled inside of NetSuite in terms of the way that we engage with our customers. So we have a customer engagement methodology called SuiteSuccess, and it's changed the way that people buy ERP systems, completely transformed it. And it's built around these four pillars. So first of all, the engagement that you should expect when you're talking with a NetSuite person is not so much speeds and feeds, technology and those sorts of things, but rather leadership and business process management. So, what are the business processes where you struggle, and where do you think you might be able to create some more efficiency? And so that's the conversation that happens, because we've been leading in this area in terms of the technology for a long time, and that's sort of become table stakes. Secondly, we change what you consume. So, it used to be that we would do a customized demo for you that was really about your business, and you would decide to buy NetSuite and buy some Suite apps from great partners, and we would have an empty account, and you would engage with the professional services team to decide what you wanted your ERP to do. Today, actually, the way that you buy it includes those leading practices. What you see in a demo is exactly what will be delivered to you at the get-go. And so it changes even the way the training goes. Focus a lot more on data conversion at the very beginning of the process as opposed to configuration. So then, the next conversation really after you have gotten going is that we have a continuous optimization. So we look at, we have a thing called value stream mapping, and we look at the areas of the business that you might be able to continue to optimize. And we build on that stairway. So this is the way that we started the implementation with Sojourn. I think that the results have been quite good, and it's what you should expect as well. So, where did all that information come from? We had tons of deployments and 18 years of proven methodology, and we took all of those learnings in terms of each of those individual verticals and built them into services as software. So we, just like our partners, Trevor's talked a little bit about, the Suite app and the bundling technology and how easy that makes it for customers to engage. We create our own bundles that fit into the vertical editions, and you get all of that learning and expertise and flexible business-ready applications that have cut down the implementation time tremendously, helped our customers to get to value. Now, what kind of customer results? Big reduction in change orders. To be that customers would get to the end of their budget in terms of the implementation, seeing a very, very low occurrence, 1%, 2% change orders. Much faster go live, 60% faster than what it might have been before. High degree of referenceable customers. So 90% of our customers that are buying this way have become immediately referenceable. Telling stories just similar to what we're hearing from Sojourn, and implementation costs are dropping too. So the Suite Cloud platform makes all of this possible, really. And from Katie's story around the customization she can have, to Merchant's story about the applications that they can deliver and the value they can create for customers, and the SuiteSuccess implementation methodology that allows for us to bring customers to value very, very quickly. So it's a big, big advantage for our customers to contemplate as they're about how they might buy an ERP system. So that's what I wanted to share about SuiteSuccess. And let's flash up a little bit of contact information. So if you have questions following this presentation and you want to reach out to us, that's my contact information there. David Harper, who's not on the phone today, but is the person looking after the sales side for Merchant Solutions on the NetSuite integration. That contact information is there as well. So feel free to reach out to either of us with further questions, and we'll be able to direct you to the right people. So with that, I'm going to open it up for some questions. All right. Hey, I have a question for Katie and Walter to start. When you were moving to NetSuite, were you running both your old and new systems concurrently before you made the switchover, or how did that transition actually happen?
So our most critical process that we do every month is the billing. We're billing about over 5,000 customers. So what we did run in tandem for about 3 months is billing, and we actually recreated every single invoice from January to August before we went live in September. So we felt that we really understood how that process worked, but really that was the only in tandem that we ran. Otherwise, we did a cutover September 1st, and I said, if it's not in NetSuite, it doesn't exist. And everyone was really behind that effort, and we had a seamless transition. I mean, we were even able to let go our outsourcer for our Singapore and Dubai and some of the UK accounting, and we just took that over without having to hire an additional person. So, we felt really good about that, not having to run in tandem systems.
Actually, that you raised some interesting concepts, and maybe you can give us a bit more detail around the countries that you're running in and some of the unique things that you're able to
Sure.
to implement to be compliant in each of those markets.
Yeah, so we're billing into about 100 countries, and we have value-added tax in Europe and in Turkey. We also have to deal with withholding when we're dealing with certain countries like Fiji, or in Indonesia we have DGT forms that have to be filled out, and so we've built automated ways to deliver these customizations that we need. For say invoicing, we take about 14 different currencies, and each of those currencies has a different banking instruction. And so we've built some suite script into NetSuite that automatically determines what form do I use when an invoice is created. So our billing analysts don't really have to think about a lot of that stuff. It's just automatic in the system. So that's kind of an example of a suite script that we set up, and it probably took our consultant an hour, so $185, and there you go. We have 14 different invoices that can go out automatically, correctly, and accurately. So,
great return on investment.
Yeah. So I think, like, if you think about where we were 3.5 years ago, and the amount of revenue we're doing now, we haven't had to grow the team as much because we can script a lot of this stuff, or we can script it, and so it's just more efficient for us.
Fantastic. Hey, Trevor, I think this one is for you. The question is, how does MES, Merchant eSolutions, work with my bank? And specifically, this customer's using Wells Fargo for credit card today.
Yeah, Wells Fargo is a terrific example of why it pays for us to be a full stack processor in the U.S. As I mentioned, we handle the transaction from the point of origination with your consumer or the business that you're selling to, all the way through to depositing the funds directly in your U.S. bank account in this scenario. And we handle all of that. So regardless of who your U.S. bank, not to mean U.S. bank, but regardless of who your bank is, we will deposit the funds directly in the account that you state. Now that can get to some complexity down the road. If you want fees to come out of a different account and deposits to go into one account, if you want chargebacks to be managed in a third way, we can handle all of that in your configuration within the Merchant eSolutions configuration. So we've got a lot of flexibility, but we are truly bank agnostic in terms of where you do your U.S. banking, and it's very straightforward to set up and a lot of flexibility.
Thanks. This one might be for you and I both, actually. The question is around, PCI audit. So, the merchant, who's responsible for PCI? Is it the merchant or is it somebody else? And ultimately,
definitely both of us.
Maybe I think it's a combination between, the merchant has responsibilities in terms of their overall operating practices, but certainly between NetSuite and Merchant E, we have designed our products to be able to limit the exposure.
Yeah, Scott, I think that's exactly the merchant. Yeah, I think that's exactly the right way to think about it, and for customers to think about it as well. As ultimately, as a merchant, you are responsible for your own compliance with the PCI rules and regs. But as a partner to you, NetSuite and Merchant E have really built a joint roadmap to offload as many of those responsibilities and, more importantly, the technical implementations that keep you safe on the PCI fringes, so that you as a merchant don't have to think about it, don't have to implement your own levels of security and your own technology to do that. Most recently, I would say the joint work that we did on the tokenization bundles and our ability to interchange tokens between the NetSuite system and our system, and in fact even other third-party systems through integrations, allows our joint merchants to not have to worry about dealing with card numbers in the clear, not have to worry about storing card numbers, but making sure that all the card information and even ACH information that they have is available to all of their channels. So as you are looking at both an ERP and an accounting system, out there in the real world, and considering NetSuite and looking at a payments provider and considering MES, our ability to work together really provides a huge advantage to merchants who otherwise are faced with that burden of PCI management, which year over year is getting more and more robust and more strict.
Yeah, and earlier on when I was going through the platform information, you'll note that NetSuite is listed as a PCI compliant provider, as is Merchant E. So you have those certifications to be able to lean on, and you're really, as a merchant, more focused on the business processes to make sure that you are doing the right kind of things in terms of
Absolutely. One last thing I'll mention, just maybe to expand that question a little bit, is increasingly we're both being asked about data privacy requests in Europe in particular. We're all aware of some of the regulations that started in Europe but will soon be coming to the U.S., as well as PII, or personally identifiable information. And Walter mentioned, a small tip of the iceberg there, the ability for a consumer to be able to delete their credit card numbers in your system. Eventually, that will be mandated in the U.S. as it is in other parts of the world, and we're already ahead of the game there. So, again, that joint roadmap and having a global perspective on what's coming, we call it future-proofing. Let NetSuite and Merchant E future-proof on your behalf.
And that regulation is called GDPR, and one of the things that many of our audience may not understand is actually that a European resident, I mean, if you're have an e-commerce site and you are selling to somebody in the European Union or someplace where GDPR specifically applies, it actually already applies to you. So it's not only future proofing, but it's now proofing too. Should be thinking about that. Hey, Walter, I think you would be the right person to handle this. You talked a little bit about the transition that you went through in changing credit card providers. Do you want to maybe cover a little bit more detail in terms of posting transactions or other aspects of the payment process that became more efficient as you made your way through that switch?
Sure. So I personally do all of the things, so it affects me directly. We'd have a batch process run on the 15th of the month, and if there was a credit that we owed the customer, or if they overpaid, we had to manually go in and remove that before the batch ran. Once the batch ran, we had to wait till the file finalized later on in the evening, and then we had to use a pull a report from our customer portal and from Stripe, merge it together, build a file that we could import into NetSuite so it would post all the transactions. Now we can see a report in NetSuite that has all of the invoices. We can put together a file, import it into NetSuite, so it'll process everything. It's a very easy process. It goes very fast. We get notifications right away if a credit card happens to fail. We like that it's real time. It'll post it in there so there's no delay. It's specifically important because now the customer can see right away in their portal if the credit card payment posted, and then if they want a receipt, they can go in and download a copy of the invoice that has the credit card payment applied. They can turn it in on their expense report or whatever, turn it to their accounting department. So kind of a brief overview of how it was previously and how it is now.
Fantastic. So there's definitely some accountants in the office. So is NetSuite compliant with ASC 606, which is the new revenue recognition requirements? And absolutely. In fact, I would say NetSuite is quite a long ways ahead of the market in terms of our peers in the cloud systems. You should be doing a deep dive in terms of the consideration that you might have in terms of competitors in this space. Make sure that you have a vendor who is compliant with ASC 606, and NetSuite absolutely is. I think so. This one may be a jump ball, and maybe all three of us might be able to answer, but because Sojourn has got something that's a bit like this. But if I have a separate e-commerce site, something that is pre-existing, either custom or maybe another product, is there a way that those orders can come in? And Katie, you guys, you call it a customer portal, but this is really a commerce operation, isn't it? Talk a little bit about what that is and how those orders got into NetSuite.
Sure. So we actually use Salesforce for our orders, and then those orders are sent into NetSuite using SnapLogic, but it's also sent into the customer portal. And then that customer portal is using an API with NetSuite, and so a customer who has an account can log into the customer portal and they can see their account. So they can see all the invoices that occurred, all the payments, if there's credits, or special types of transactions. And so, I mean, given that there's a lot of different ways you could get an order into NetSuite that I can think of. With Salesforce, we've created a process where it automatically calls NetSuite and it creates accounts. It also creates opportunities. It creates sales orders. And so that just happens in the background, and nobody on the team has to do that. And I think it's also good because it creates segregation of duties. So we don't have analysts creating accounts and then also creating invoices. So that's how we get our account information and orders into NetSuite. Really, the customer portal is a way for a customer that can go in and not only see their accounting information, but also understand how their marketing is performing. So it's kind of twofold, creating and they reconcile in the portal. So they tell us essentially like what the bookings are that we earn against, and then they can go in there and manage their essential entire account, whether it's update ACH information, which goes into NetSuite through that API we built, or update the credit card information, their billing address, things like that.
And I can comment, a little bit maybe from the NetSuite perspective. The SuiteSuccess edition in our retail vertical actually has got we have connectors into the majority of popular marketplaces as well as other e-commerce sites, with fulfillment and a single view of inventory as the first problem that you might take on. So you have the ability to work with a lot of what you have on an integrated basis, and then consolidate those systems into a single view by adopting additional modules of NetSuite over the course of time, kind of ranging from I'll take my single view of inventory plus my fulfillment and customer data, have that in one place. I will have e-commerce and marketplace connectors to Amazon, et cetera, and then and have my point of sale perhaps even using another third party. You can replace some of your e-commerce operations or all of your e-commerce operations with NetSuite over the course of time, and then get all the way down into point of sale. Which actually, Trevor, this is a question for you. Does MES have options for covering that full breadth? So, I have e-commerce, I have in-store payment acceptance. I think you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but specifically, can we deal with new regulations, EMV, and all of that sort of thing, and use MES as our service provider?
Yeah, we absolutely do. And I think as you were saying, and to the previous question, we see almost think of it as phases, all phases of the evolution with the merchant. So we may be handling terminal business and EMV business outside of the NetSuite environment, and they see the benefits of pulling that into a SuiteCommerce in-store environment or a retail environment with NetSuite. We can support that as a transition. We can also support it as a mixed environment. Similarly with the e-commerce environment or someone coming directly through a gateway or through another application, we can support a mixed environment where some of it's in the NetSuite application ecosystem and some of it's outside. And then increasingly we're seeing, probably to both of our advantage and also ultimately to the merchant's advantage, people saying, I really want an all-in-one solution. Bring me to an environment where I can manage my customer interactions across all the channels, and it's all directly integrated with Merchant eSolutions and NetSuite. And it's a reality of the ecosystem that as customers grow, we'll continue to see that. So we're committed to that. Jointly we continue to work with NetSuite on the roadmap of where's Oracle NetSuite going and where do we need to be there in support, making sure that it's a unified experience. As soon as we get all of that done, one of our top merchants, as Sojourn alluded to before, will go off and acquire another customer or another company. And ultimately, now they have a mixed environment ecosystem and want our support in doing that. So absolutely, we'll continue to do that for all of the channels that exist today, but we know that there's more channels coming, whether it's chatbots or text-to-pay, e-invoicing, et cetera. And that's obviously the most important thing to the merchant.
We have another audience question here, actually, that is in the same sort of vein of this idea of the evolution. In NetSuite terms, it's Suite Commerce, Suite Commerce in store in terms of our point of sale. But looking specifically at billing systems, somebody's got a current billing system and they'd like to transition, into our billing system and not interrupt existing subscription payments. And it sounds like, if I think through the story that we heard from Sojourn, some of that actually already happened over there. I can take the front end of that in terms of the customer data. If the customer data is living in a existing billing system, we certainly can pull that data without interruption over into NetSuite. And Trevor, you guys have got some things in terms of card updater services and tokenization that would really help with that process as well, right?
Mm-hmm. We do. I mean, maybe I'll just comment on that because Walter had a good example working with Trishelle in our solution consulting group. But we've got a team of people starting on the front end with with our sales team that David manages that knows NetSuite and knows NetSuite implementations very well. And so that is one of the first things that we'll engage with customers on is how do we help you turn the battleship going full speed, right? How do we change the props on it while you're moving? Because at the end of the day, it has to be a seamless transition for your end customer, for the consumer out there or the small business that you're working with. And so we'll map that process out, including when payments need to go out, what cards need to come in, what needs to be vaulted, what needs account updater, and the timing of all of that across your multiple systems. And we've got hundreds of use cases of that kind of experience making transformations from various ERP and accounting systems and various other payment processors. It's one of the places that I'll point, and I've spent the last 25 years as a technologist in the Northwest and in San Francisco, and we always like to point to the technology that does this, but the reality is much of that is having a service person that you can walk through that roadmap with, that you can go through that journey hand in hand and assure success, because at the end of the day, your business needs to keep its continuity. That's the most important thing to the overall customer and customer relationship.
All right, so I think we have got somebody from a nonprofit in the audience. So the question is, do we have any benefits for nonprofit organizations? And that might be one part that we can take. And Trevor, maybe you want to comment on it first.
Yeah, we work with a large number of nonprofits, both on and off the NetSuite platform. It's an increasingly growing part of our business, and I know NetSuite's business as well. We have some very specific programs for them. There are some things that they can take advantage of in the payments environment. Again, if they have that solution consulting relationship where we can help show them how to lower their overall cost of tender. But then NetSuite and some of the solutions that NetSuite has brought to bear in terms of industry-specific programs, I think work very well there.
Yeah, and I can pile on to that. So, we at NetSuite have got a number of nonprofit programs. There's special terms around the use of NetSuite that's available to the nonprofits, as well as vertically tailored industries. We have a SuiteSuccess edition specifically for nonprofits that will allow you to take advantage of all of those leading practices that might be in some of your peer implementations. And again, special pricing and terms, and even terms around services. We are big on social responsibility and nonprofit, and certainly is an area that we encourage our employees also to be able to assist and help out the nonprofits that are. So I see that we're running pretty close to the edge of our time, and the questions are starting to slow down. So, encourage the audience again. We shared our contact information. If you have further information that you would like to receive, feel free to send an email, and we'll be certain to reach out to you and answer any questions. And so with that, I will say thank you so much for attending on behalf of Oracle NetSuite and our customer Sojourn and our partner Merchant eSolutions. And I'll pass it back to Macy